Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Harry Lawson-Iziris, and this is my YouTube channel, grecochess. If you've watched my previous videos, at some point I was presenting the games of my Facebook friends that were selected by my friends themselves. At the time, I had 7 games to show to you, but yesterday I had one more game. My Facebook friend, Team Mirabile, suggested the game that I'm going to show to you now. It was against Hantian, took place in Floral Park, New York 3 years ago, 2022, and was part of the Queen's Chess Club tournament at that time. When the game was played, Tim had a rating of 2212 versus 1776 for Ying, so clearly Tim was the favorite. Since then, their ratings have fallen just a little bit. Tim's is 2132 and Ying's is 1735. But we're going now to the chessboard of chess.com, and we are going to show to you the game that they played at the time. What happened? Once again, on the left, you're going to see the chessboard. Here, on the right half, below the word analysis, the computer evaluation. Positive number means that white is better. Negative means that black is better. The computer will show if a move was the best or not. If not, which could have been the best move, and what are the best 3 options for the other player. Tim had the white pieces, Ying had the black. And let's start the game, and Tim starts with the king's pawn goes to e4, and Ying replies a symmetric way, pawn goes to e5. Usually they say knights before bishops, but now Tim decided bishop before knight, so he sends his bishop to c4. This is called the bishop's opening, as you see here. And Ying replies a symmetric way, bishop to c5. And I never knew this name. It's called the bishop's opening boy variation. Move number 3 for Tim, knight goes to f3. And Ying replies, sending his queen to e7. This is an inaccuracy, and usually you don't want to move your queen too early, because it may run into danger. It may have to move again and again to be saved, while the opponent may continue developing. And this assuming the queen is not lost. Tim continues with short side castling, and Ying sends his knight to f6, develops a knight. Mistake, says the computer. Why? The computer wants white to send the pawn to d4, attack the bishop, and if the pawns disappear, rook goes to e1 and the queen is pinned. So white could start threatening this kind of pin and forcing black to make concessions to avoid it. But instead of sending the pawn to d4, Tim sends it to d3, which the computer thinks a miss. So instead of having 2.15 advantage, white's advantage is very small, 0.48. And now Ying is going to castle. Tim sends his bishop to g5 and pins a knight on f6. And Ying pushes the pawn to d6 to liberate the bishop at c8. Tim wants to avoid the pin with bishop on g4. That's why he sends his pawn to h3, and Ying replies the same way, pawn to h6, and basically asks white's bishop the question. What are you going to do? Going to h4, going to c1 to the other diagonal, c1, d2, e3 are the options, or exchanging with a knight. And Tim decides to keep the pin. Bishop goes to h4. And Ying develops his knight, goes to c6. Knight goes to c3 for Tim, and pawn goes to g5 for Ying. This is a crucial moment. Computer thinks a mistake. Of course, when they were playing, there was no way for them to know it. Gives white an advantage of 1.01. What can white do? The bishop can go to g3, where it can do almost nothing because the black pawns that block its way. Of course, cannot stay there, it's lost. Or white may try to do what seems reasonable, but involves a sacrifice. Knight goes to g5, pawn goes to g5, and until now, let's see before, the computer thinks that this is a brilliant move. We're going to see later why, if and why, how it will change. Pawn goes to h5, as we said. Of course, otherwise black loses a pawn, they must take back. And the white bishop takes on g5 now. And white has sacrificed a piece for two pawns, but what pawns? The pawns in front of the king. But who is better? Computer says white is better 0.81, but let's see what's going to happen because the players had no way to know it. And white, of course, uses the knight to go to... No, before white, it's black's turn to move. So bishop goes to e6. Inaccuracy, says the computer. We're going to see why. I would rather have the king go to g7, so the knight is protected twice. Tim sends his knight to d5 and threatens the queen and threatens also to take the knight on f6 because attacked twice and defended only once. The only option for black, and that's why they send their bishop to e6, is to take the knight at d5. Tim is going to take it, and with a pawn and threatening the knight at c6. Knight goes to a5 and threatens the bishop. White forgets about the bishop because can take it back with the pawn and instead sends the queen to f3. The knight on f6 is attacked twice and defended only once. Black defends the only way possible. King goes to g7. All white needs to do is send a third force to attack the knight. But which one? There is no dark-colored bishop. There is no knight. Maybe the rooks, they're far away. Let's see. Queen goes to g3. Being a belief is to go to h4 and threaten the knight even worse. And then perhaps if the pawn goes to f4 and opens the f file for the rook, then we have three pieces attacking the knight. Black decides to answer by sending the knight at h5, while the white bishop can take the queen. Also, the black knight can take the queen. So, and if the queens are exchanged, then black is off the hook and may go to an ending with an extra piece for two pawns with very good chances. But white does not want to exchange queens. Queens go to g4. And the black queen now has to move, goes to e8. You see now that the black knight is lost. Blunders is the computer. White can easily take the knight and be a piece ahead, but decides instead to do what's called the discover check. Bishop goes to e7. Great move, says the computer, the best of the options. Mate e6 move now. King goes to h6. Queen goes to h5, to g5, check again. King goes to h7. Now the queen takes the knight. King goes to g7. 4 moves away from mate. And king goes to g5. Excuse me, a queen goes to g5 for white. We're 3 moves away from mate. You're going to see how the mate would happen. King goes to h7. Bishop to f6. Black bishop, desperate check, as I call spy checks on f2. Rook takes it. Knight goes to b3 for black or whatever else. And queen goes to g7, checkmate. And 3 moves before the checkmate, black resigned. Tim, congratulations for the win. And let's now have a review of the game. Let's see what the chess.com computer says about it. It says that white had 89.6 accuracy versus 68.7 for black. And white played, the team played as if his rating was 2400, higher than his, while black ying as if his rating was 1600, a little bit less than him. How did we do in the various categories? One brilliant move for team, I believe it is when the knight took sacrificed itself by taking the pawn on g5. 3 great for white. Best move 7 for white, 6 for black, 1 excellent each of them. Good moves 4 for white, 1 for black. Book moves 3 for white, 2 for black. And in the negatives, 4 inaccuracies for black, 4 mistakes. 1 miss for white. I believe it is when the pawn, instead of going to d4, it went to d3. Now blunders for each one of them. That concludes the game, and I believe the crucial moment was when black decided to threaten the bishop on h4 and break the pin by sending the pawn to g5. This move has been played by many great players and has led them to victory, of course, in different positions. So it's a very risky one. One needs to check very carefully if there is a good follow-up for white. Sometimes the attack can come from there. For black from the G and H files, but other times like this one, black has nothing to do and white can easily open the defense of black. This concludes the coverage of team's game. Once again, team, congratulations, great game. If any of my other Facebook friends would like to send me games for me to present, I'll be glad to do so. We'll continue on the next video with the 82nd Chisanity tournament that took place on September 7th. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the subscribers, to the viewers, to the people that like, to the comments. I'm Harilas Oniziris. This is my YouTube chess channel. Goodbye.